passages, which in turn led to stately halls and noble galleries. There were turrets and balconies overlooking beautiful gardens, and on the stone terraces gay lords and ladies used to walk and laugh and make merry, and little children run and play and dance, and life go on very much as it does now, with work and play, love and laughter and tears. One of the gay people who used to walk there was Anthony Babington. He was a gallant young gentleman, an ardent Catholic, and devoted to the cause of the beautiful and unfortunate Mary Queen of Scots. Though ardent and devoted, Babington was a weak and foolish young man. He fell under the influence of a certain Ballard, an artful and designing person who had resolved to bring about the death of the great English Queen, and was induced by him to form the plot which is known in history as Babington's conspiracy. So he was brought to ruin and death. In the year 1586, Queen Mary was imprisoned at Wingfield Manor, a country house only a few miles distant from Dethick. The conspirators gathered other Catholic noblemen about them and planned to release Queen Mary and set her once more on the throne. They used to meet at Dethick, where, it is said, there is a secret passage underground leading to Wingfield Manor. Perhaps, who knows, they may have sat in the kitchen, gathering about the great fireplace for warmth. The lights out for fear of spies, only the firelight gleaming here and there, lighting up the dark corners and the eager, intent faces. And when the plot was discovered, and Queen Elizabeth's soldiers were searching the country round for the young conspirators, riding hither and thither along the pleasant country lanes, and thrusting their sabres in among the blossoming hedgerows, it was here at Dethick that they sought for Anthony Babington. They did not find him, for he was in hiding elsewhere. But one of his companions was actually discovered and arrested there. Perhaps, again who knows, this man may have been hiding in the secret chamber above the trapdoor. One can fancy the pursuers rushing in, flinging open cupboards and presses in search for their prey, and finding no one, gathering baffled around the fireplace. Then one, chancing to glance up, catches sight of the trapdoor in the ceiling. "Ha! Lads, look up! The rascal may be hiding yonder. Up with you, you tall fellow!" Then, a piling up of benches, one man mounting on another's shoulders, the door forced open, the young nobleman seized and overpowered, and brought down to be carried off to London for trial. Anthony Babington and his companions were executed for high treason, and Queen Mary, who was convicted of approving the plot, was put to death soon after. All this Florence Nightingale and her sister knew, and they never tired of playing suppose in old Dethick kitchen, and living over again in fancy the romantic time long past. And on Sundays the two children went with their parents to old Dethick church, and sat where Anthony Babington used to sit, for in his days it was the private chapel of Dethick. It is a tiny church. 50 people would fill it to overflowing, but Florence and her sister might easily feel that the 4 bare walls held all the wild history of Elizabeth's reign. Anthony Babington, in doublet and hose, with velvet mantle, feathered cap and sword by his side. Little Florence Nightingale in round leghorn hat and short petticoats. It is a long step between these two, yet they are the 2 most famous people who ever said their prayers in old Dethick church. The lad's brief and tragic story contrasts strangely with the long and beautiful story of Florence Nightingale, a story that has no end. When Florence was between 5 and 6 years old, she left Lea Hall for a new home, Lea Hurst, about a mile distant. Here her father had built a beautiful house in the Elizabethan style, of stone, with pointed gables, mullioned windows, and latticed panes. There was a tiny chapel on the site he chose, hundreds of years old, and this he built into the house, so that Lea Hurst, as well as Lea Hall and Dethick, joined hands with the old historic times. In this little chapel by and by we shall see Florence holding her Bible class, but I like still to think of her as a little rosy girl, running about the beautiful gardens of Lea Hurst, or playing house in the quaint old summer house with its pointed roof of thatch. Perhaps she brought her dolls here, but the dolls must wait for another chapter. Soon after moving to Lea Hurst, the Nightingales bought still another country